A year ago, I quit my tech job in America and moved all the way to Cambodia. And I absolutely love it here. And one of the big reasons why is just because of how incredibly inexpensive it is to live in this country. So today, I'm going to answer one big question for you all. Just how much does it take to live comfortably in Cambodia? Here's a hint. The answer is less than $1,000 a month. I'm going to list off all of my own personal expenses as well as provide you with a range of what you might spend depending on your personal circumstances. So let's talk about rent first. Anyone living in the West knows how insane housing expenses have gotten in recent decades.
You said it, the rent is too damn high.
But when I moved to Cambodia, I was shocked by just how reasonable the rent is here. I am currently renting a 2-bedroom apartment for $250 a month. Now, to most of you, this probably seems like an amazing deal, but believe it or not, you can find rent far, far cheaper than that if your needs are minimal. At the low end, rent can be as cheap as $50 a month, but we're talking about a really small room with no AC. If you want to splurge and rent a nice 5-bedroom house, you're looking at more like $1,000 a month. And quick disclaimer, all costs in this video are as of late 2023, but if you're watching this video in 2024 or 2025, it's probably pretty similar to what's in here. Inflation has been pretty low in Cambodia overall. And also note that my costs are in the city of Siem Reap. If you're living in the capital city, Phnom Penh, all of the costs are going to be a little higher than this, particularly rent. Electricity is a little bit pricey in Cambodia, which is actually why most of the locals decide to just go without AC entirely, and that's in spite of the extremely hot weather here. I personally am spending about $120 a month on electricity right now, but that is for a 2-bedroom apartment that I am sharing with my fiance. When I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment as a single person, my expenses were about half of that, $60 a month. As far as you, I would say that you'll probably end up spending about $40 to $200 a month on your electricity bill, depending on just how much you like AC and how big the place that you're renting is. As far as other utilities go, water, internet, and room cleanings are often included in your rent for free. In my case, I am paying $10 per room cleaning, but the water and internet are thrown in for free. Now, when it comes to internet, I will say, however, that if you want a fast and stable connection, that is not going to be included for free. You're going to have to be paying up to $100 a month to get that really nice high-end internet connection. The good news, however, is that cell phone data is practically free. So what I and most other people will do, if my apartment's Wi-Fi is not cutting it, I will just tether an internet connection from my phone to my computer using that mobile data. And in total for my cell phone bill, I spend just $6 a month. That includes talk, text, and like I said, all the mobile data I could possibly need. Now, food is potentially going to be one of your bigger expenses, but what I find is that the price can vary pretty wildly depending on your preferences as well as how thrifty you are. Now, you ask locals how much they're spending on food, and the answer is going to be practically nothing. Well, why is that? Well, that's because they're eating cheap local food, right? So rice is practically free. Noodles is practically free. A cheeseburger isn't. So if you're just kind of eating normal Asian food, you're not going to spend very much. And that's true whether you're going grocery shopping or eating out. If you go to one of these street food carts, get a meal, you're looking at $1 or $2. In fact, one of my favorite meals here is actually this beef stick sandwich, and that just costs $1, which is awesome. If you go to an Asian sit-down restaurant, you're looking at more like $4 to $6. Still pretty reasonable. Now, on the other hand, if you want to go to an Italian restaurant or a Mexican restaurant, that meal is now going to cost you, say, $7 to $12, which is still pretty decent, but now we're looking at prices that are a bit closer to what you would actually pay in the West. So, me personally, I spend about $65 a week on food, which comes out to something like $283 a month. You, as an expat, I would expect that you would spend $150 to $500. And again, that largely depends on your preferences. The great news, though, is that the food here is absolutely awesome. In fact, I would even say that it is better than most food that you will get in a major American city. Now, there are two major costs that I find that most expats don't take into consideration when they are building their budget for Cambodia. The first cost is the cost of their visa, which is definitely significant. I actually just paid $507 for a one-year visa. You divide that by 12, and that comes out to about $42 a month. Kind of small, but definitely not insignificant. The second major cost is the cost of your healthcare. Now, me personally, I have been healthy throughout most of my life. I also have an HSA account with a pretty big chunk of money in it. So my plan is that if something minor happens here, like maybe I have the flu and I want to go see a doctor, I'm just going to pay out of pocket for that. That's no big deal. And then if, heaven forbid, something major comes up, say I have cancer, I would just go back to America and use the various healthcare options there. But if you want some sort of health insurance package that is geared towards expats, from what I understand, that can cost anywhere from maybe $50 to $100 a month. Here, I would recommend do your own research, make sure it covers what you need it to. There are a couple of other minor expenses that might possibly apply to you that you will need to budget for. The first is learning the Khmer language, the native language of Cambodia. Maybe you want to learn it to help make friends. Maybe it's to pay respect to the people around you. Maybe it's just because you love learning languages. That will cost you about $5 to $10 an hour. So depending on how many hours a month you're taking those classes, that can add up pretty quickly. Maybe $100 a month or more. I will say, though, this is optional, and that's because in the major cities of Cambodia, everyone can speak pretty damn good English. In fact, the English is better than the English in Thailand, from my experience. Secondly, if you are an animal lover like myself, you will see so many stray cats around that you won't be able to resist getting one. That, of course, is not free. I have a line item in my budget for that. That is $20 a month to take care of my cat. That includes food and the possibility of going to the vet. The good news is that vaccinations, whether for animals or for people, are extremely cheap, so that won't cost you too much. And third, I want to say that if you're a single guy living in Cambodia, you're going to want to take girls out. That is going to cost you money. Even me now, I have a fiance. I still spend money on her. So I do have in my budget $50 a month of money that is going to the fiance. One thing that you have not heard me talk about is transportation, and that is because I spend no money on transportation, and I really don't think that you will need to either. Now, does Cambodia have a great public transportation system? Absolutely not. However, cities are really designed in such a way such that no matter where you live, there's going to be a lot within walking distance. So within a 1 kilometer radius of my home, there are plenty of grocery stores, plenty of restaurants, movie theaters, gyms, all of the stuff that you need, you can get around to on foot, or in my case, on bike. I just bought a bicycle pretty soon after I got here and have been using that to get around. I like it quite a bit. There are plenty of people who use bikes. If instead maybe you want to rent a scooter, depending on what gas prices are, that might cost you somewhere from $20 to $50 a month. I'm not really sure, but you're not going to get a car. You really don't need a car to live here. And it's pretty nice because, if you like going out and exercising, easy to get somewhere on foot or on bike. And last but not least, I've got a category on my budget for just general miscellaneous expenses. Right now, I have $200 a month there. But for example, one item that I did not mention is clothes. I'm a guy that's not very fashionable, so I don't really buy a lot of clothes. But If you do, maybe that's something you want in your budget. The good news though is that clothes are extremely cheap here. This shirt cost me $3. You can find ones just like it for maybe even less than that, $1 or $2. If you're going out to the movies, movie tickets are about $4 each. Depending on your habits and how much you really like to go out and splurge, maybe your miscellaneous category could be $300, but it won't be very much. Most of the things that there are to do around here are pretty cheap. In total, my personal budget comes out to $994 a month. I imagine that your budget probably won't be that much different from that. I've seen some sources online saying that, you need maybe $1,200 or $1,300 a month to live in Cambodia. That really isn't true in general, because what you have to understand is that the locals living here earn nowhere near that. In Cambodia, if you are earning $500 a month as a local, that is a solid middle-class salary. Your friends will be jealous that, oh my God, you're earning $500 a month. So most people that actually live here are probably living on a budget of maybe $300 or $400 a month. But again, that's eating only local food, going without luxuries like AC. So one way or another, it is going to be extremely cheap to live here. Again, it's all about how you want to live. Thanks for watching, everyone. And if you want to find out how the currency system works in Cambodia, then you should go check out this video here.